Hey everybody, it's Kevin James Bond. I'm a real estate agent here in Colorado Springs. Today I wanted to talk about, is a recession upcoming for Colorado Springs? So we'll go over some quick things. The average sale price in Colorado Springs has started to go down since April. At April, it was about 530,000 for the average sale price. It went down to 520 in May, 520 in June, came back up to 529 in July. However, if you're looking at the close price to original price ratio, you'll notice that on average, homes have not been selling more or for more than asking recently. So that's just one of the metrics that I'm using to look at what the market is doing now. But otherwise, property showings for homes, land, condos, townhomes, all of it, it's just been really slow. Most properties are getting about 1.5 showings a week, down from, the crazy action where you'd get, 10, 20 showings, plus a day. The Home Purchase Sentiment Index, which is the HPSI, stated that 80% of consumers think that now is not a good time to buy a house. It's the highest that percentage has ever been since they've been studying it. And then back in March, Colorado Springs made it on to number 10 on the top 10 least affordable metro areas in the United States. So people were recognizing it's very expensive to live here. And then at the end of April, when the mortgage rates went up, buyers pulled out of the market here, and they did so sharply. And since the end of April, it's been slow like this. Home builders have been, they've been getting quite a number of buyers, and they are also slowed down like, it's the market here. And now home builders are reaching out to real estate agents saying, hey, you got buyers, we'd love to, wine and dine you, because they don't have business, same as everybody else. The interest rates, from what I'm hearing, they're just over the sixes. And this is back from, if you compare this back to December of last year, interest rates were at like 3.1%. The average days on market for Colorado Springs is about 13 days now. It depends on the price point and what it is, but it's about a couple of weeks now. And you've also got the feds who are saying that they're going to be increasing the interest rates later this week, another 0.75%, I believe. So, and I expect the interest rates to continue, or just the mortgage interest rates to increase in response to that. There may be some, up and down, because it's all dependent on how people are feeling about it. But in the end, it's going to go up in response to the feds increasing the rate as well. Inflation is also up 9.1% as of the end of June. And then anecdotally, I've heard that people's living expenses, if you calculate, on a monthly basis, what you spend on groceries, gas, and whatnot, all of your living expenses have gone up 20% since last year. Now, I mean, you can look it up and yours might be different, but this is what I've been hearing is about, for a realistic number that you can actually utilize is about 20%. So does this work for anybody? Is this going to be sustainable? And so as we saw in May and June, prices, the average home price anyway, which is a broad number, I realize, but it started to go down a little bit. Right now, you've got 1,663 properties that are active on the market for sale right now in Colorado Springs. 937 of those have taken a price drop. That's 56% of homes have taken a price drop. 1,313 of properties are under contract separately. 795 properties have sold since the beginning of July. Now, out of 1,991 total homes available in July, 668 have taken a price drop. It's about a third of homes. So the market has slowed down quite a bit. We were going fast. It was very fast, but now it's more normal. And what that looks like in reality is that there are just fewer showings on properties. We've got for the total of, you had 1,663 properties for sale now here in Colorado Springs, but for the county as a whole, El Paso County, you've got 2,163 properties. And that's a little bit more than what we had in, say, July of 2019. when we had 1,366 properties in Colorado Springs for sale and 1,680 in total in all of El Paso County. So the inventory has not changed that much since then. We've gone up, a couple hundred, a few hundred homes, but overall, we're going to need about 5,000 homes or 5,000 properties for sale in Colorado Springs right now in order to have a truly balanced market where people have the ability to pick and choose from things. And so what we're seeing right now is what I'm calling a temporary shock from buyers. And this is due to mortgage rates increasing. It's due to inflation. It's due to the November elections coming up. It's due to people worrying about recession. Whether it is or is not going to happen, people are still thinking about it. They're still worrying about it. And the bottom line is that most people don't want to buy right now. So if you're a buyer or a potential buyer and you're planning to buy a property to live in it yourself and you're planning to keep it long term, then I'd say that's the most important thing for you. If you're going to be paying rent anyway, then it's going to be a win for you to lock in a mortgage payment that's not going to rise like your rent will. But ultimately, only what's best for you. So just do that. If you need to buy, great. If you don't. If you want to wait it out, great. But people are buying and selling houses every day, always have been. Even during the 80s housing market, when interest rates were up at 18, 20%, people were still buying and selling houses then, and the interest rates as they are still incredibly low historically. So even though they are going up and you are getting less money or less house for your dollar, it's still relatively low in comparison. And then if we do hit some kind of recession, we may see prices in Colorado Springs continue to go down a bit. I don't expect them to go down a lot more bit because it's still an in-demand city. People are still moving here. Moody's Analytics estimates that Colorado Springs home values are 41% overvalued. I feel that's a bit much. So if you compare that to CoreLogic, who runs the majority of the multiple listing services for real estate agents here in Colorado, I think it's actually throughout the country too. They think that there's a low chance of home values in Colorado Springs falling over the next 12 months. So a low 10 to 20% chance of that happening. So that statistic seems more reasonable to me, but ultimately only time is going to tell. So, and if you're thinking about selling a house now, be aware that it's going to take longer to sell and you're not going to get the multiple offers or the extra incentives from buyers anymore. And in fact, you're going to be giving away incentives. You're going to be giving concessions toward buyers' closing costs. And that's something that we haven't seen in several years, but it's coming back now because at least temporarily at this specific point in time, if you're selling or buying property now, this is what you have to be aware of, is that all of whatever you're selling, it has to be in great shape. It's got to have a great first impression in order to sell, because people are going to see it on the internet before they see it in person. And what a normal market looks like is that the properties that are well priced and that look great, that have that great first impression, are the ones that are going to sell the quickest and for the most money. And unfortunately, right now, this market is not normal. This market is buyers scrambling to figure out what they're going to do. Do I want to buy? And maybe we'll see in the fall time, more people, as we get closer to school time approaching, more buyers coming back into the housing market to find a place to buy. We'll see. We still have some time. So ultimately, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months for prices, but nobody knows. And so if you want to sell in this market, just be prepared for doing a few more things and putting in a little effort, or your real estate agent putting a little bit more effort to attracting buyers to your property. So, but in the end, none of this really matters because investors are going to buy based on the numbers, no matter what the market is. And people who are buying to actually live in the property are going to buy it because there's a change in their lives. They had a baby, they got married, they got divorced, somebody died. All these big things, these life events that happen in everybody's lives, it kind of forces a change. And so that happens all the time, every day. So Real estate will continue to transact. In what fashion? I'm not quite sure, but now you know what I know. Happy birthday. I'll talk to you next week.